Hello, bonjour, and welcome to your new Bonner Private Wines video. The month of January is always a bit of a time to reflect on the past, and we did that a few weeks ago with our Year in Wine video, where we look at all the most delicious wines that we tasted together in 2022. You can watch it here if you missed it, but it's also a time to look forward at what the new year may bring upon us. I don't do politics here, I don't do geopolitics or global economics. There would be a lot to say about this. I'm only interested in wine and family and motorcycles, but here I only talk about wine. So let's talk about wine trends to look out for in 2023. Let's go. I was reading an article last week titled "The US Wine Industry in a Tailspin," with an intro evoking, quote, "The wine industry is in a downward spiral like IBM, Kodak and Blockbuster, according to an annual influential report issued today," end quote. I was like, yikes, there's been loads of bad news lately. Well, that's definitely one of them. It turns out it's more than anything it was a catchy title to get me excited or worried, I should say, a clickbait essentially. It's not that gloom, but there are a few takeaways from the current situation in wine. In short, growth in the wine consumption in the US has slowed over the past few years. We know that, we knew it. But it's known for the first time its first drop last year as Americans overall drank less wine in 2022 than they did in 2021. What's happening is that the younger generations are not choosing wine because of health concerns, inflation, probably even more importantly, fashion. They've kept our youngs away from vino and to other beverages. We in the wine industry were promised and hoping that the millennials who have grown a little older by now would eventually join our privileged community of wine lovers. Well, it turns out they did not, and they're not much into wine. It's even worse for younger generations like the Gen Z that are even less interested in our vino, and that's not ideal. That said, those like us who know what are the profoundly good things in life, the boomers as the youngsters would call us, the less young wine consumers in the US are buying ever increasingly expensive quality wines, and more people get into premium and ultra premium wines. Wine sales in those segments have actually grown. So in 2023 it's going to be less quantity but better quality. That's a trend which I can live with. So what is trending in 2023 are better wines. But what else? Well, sparkling wines and rosés have been on the rise for like 10 or 15 years now, and they're continuing their progression in market shares. Perhaps they are styles that are appealing to younger generations. That will continue. The big trends though are towards one, more environmentally friendly wines, and number two, greater diversity and authenticity. And those two trends go hand in hand, of course, really, when you think about it. So the world of wine is truly shifting towards less pesticides, more organic farming. Producers don't mind that. I mean, it's hard for them, but they don't mind, and they're really being pushed in that direction by the demands of wine consumers, and that's good. Wine drinkers are also demanding, and we're not going to deny them that here at the club, more originality in style. So emerging wine regions are trending, new grape varieties also are trending, and rediscovered grapes, I should call them really, because they're old grapes that we are rediscovering now and introducing as new trends, like the Criolla we like to bring you from Argentina. It's a great example of these trending new styles that are emerging, delicious wines that nobody had ever heard about before. No and low alcohol wines, the no-low wines, that's how they're called, are gaining in popularity as well, as wineries find new and better ways to make alcohol-removed wines that actually taste good or okay, which wasn't the case only a few years back. They were tasting not really close to wine at all. It's getting there slowly, and this will continue progressing in 2023. The wine industry, you see, is legendarily slow at adopting new technology. Winemakers and viticulturalists are more worried about their soil, about the weather, about the tractor, even sometimes, than the latest gadgets that may make wine more attractive to the Gen Z in the wine bars of New York or San Francisco. But slowly wineries are realizing that they need to invest more on social media, on videos, on mobile applications, and so on. I personally worked a few years ago as an independent consultant, social media manager and strategist. It was so hard to convince wineries, at least where I live here in France, to spend any decent money on social media and those things back in 2018 or 19. During and after COVID, though, they're slowly realizing, they have probably realized now, that you cannot only rely on your sales workforce, on restaurants and sommeliers to talk about your wines. You need to tell the story yourself, because no one knows it better than the winemakers themselves, and social media allows that. The small fragmented producers of those newly rediscovered grape varieties, the small wineries that bring us the small batch production wines that we demand from obscure regions, are finally adopting new technologies more and more. Wine apps like Vivino, for example, are very popular right now, and this will continue in 2023. In short, 23 years later, well, the wine industry is entering the 21st century. Yes, they are now. As a conclusion, wine, like most industries, will be facing challenges in 2023. The climate change is not the least of their concerns, of course, for such an exposed production, but also an evolving consumer taste, consumer base, aging, uncertainties in the economy, and so on. But the industry is there. It's always been there. It's rooted, it's unyielding, it's more importantly passionate as well about delivering us liquid pleasure from the earth. That's what it knows how to do, that's what it does, and it'll be there to do it in 2023. We will be there to enjoy it in 2023 and beyond. My conclusion, that was it for me today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon in the wonderful world of wine. Cheers.